Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Let's Play of The Dark Rites of Arkham. Last time we bummed about, we saw the end of our flashback, and we visited the Marsh Antique Shop, where we were told to fuck off because the owner doesn't talk to cops. Because the cops have sort of raided and destroyed his hometown during the ending of Shadow over Innsmouth. So we have to fuck off and go to the Arkham Museum of the Unusual, where something unusual presumably happened. I guess we could also go to the esoteric bookstore to probably be told that we cannot visit without invitation. So let's do that. Let's knock it off the list. The Ishtar Gate. This is where that parapsychologist presents his book. The best-selling books of the month are on display. Let's take a peek. Fragments of Atlantis by Alexander Mann. On the Trail of the Order of the Eternal Wind by Thomas Neville. The Seal of Paimon by James Greenstead. Do you know any of these? Fragments of Atlantis. Very interesting. I don't know the rest. Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess of love and war. You know, I'm shocked the Arkham League for Decency hasn't tried to shut this place down for flaunting a naked woman. Maybe they haven't looked up. The Ishtar Gate, esoteric bookstore. Can check the showcase while that guy is there. Line 5 makes a stop here. That is the same line as the one by the park. So presumably we need to fix the path to get it moving. Another storefront with a toe tag. Oh, in the sense that it's dead. I see. I hear shouting from inside. Let's go in and see what's going on. I won't say it again. Get off my bus. Don't you have any compassion? You'll get me fired, you damn hag. Hey. Arkham PD. What's the trouble? This woman. She got on the bus without a ticket and won't get off. Ma'am, you know you can't ride without a ticket. So I beg you to step down. Don't get me wrong. I had to get on this bus due to force majeure. Force majeure? Spell it out. My cane was stolen while I was sitting on a bench. I have What? I have fasciitis in the sole of my foot, and I can't walk without it. Not my problem. Let her finish, pal. I barely made it to the bus, so this gentleman could take me home. There is a stop right in front of my door. I thought he might pay the fare as soon as we got there. I don't have any money on me. Ma'am, don't keep telling me the same sob story. You can't get on here without a ticket. Period. Why don't you take this lady home, pal? Route's the same with or without her, right? Are you mad? If the depot hears a colored woman rode without a ticket, I'm finished. If it were someone else, maybe nothing would happen. But a colored woman? I wouldn't have bought it if I could walk. Besides, your bosses don't need to know about it. Get off. I can't. You're starting to annoy me. Keep it up and there'll be consequences. This is getting dull. Shall we go? We shouldn't leave that woman alone with him. Why? Let them deal with it. Look at his hand. A steel crank. And he's about to lose it. Damn it. Can't we just pay for your tickets? Do we have any money? Campbell soup ad. Which one's your favorite? I don't like canned food. I prefer to cook. You cook? Yeah, sure. You'll have to invite me over sometime. I have forgotten what food that doesn't come in a can tastes like. It would be my pleasure to cook for you, Jack. Sorry. Walker cigarettes ad. Damn it. I left my smokes on the boss's desk. Got any? No, I only smoke at home and after coffee. Arkham WKST radio station ad. So that's Fred Winchell. I had never put a face to the name. Do you listen to WKST? Yes. It was the station I had tuned into when you came into my office. Electrical Planet ad. Electrical Planet? What the hell is that? It's an electronics magazine. What about? You know, electronics. A branch of physics that applies the behavior of electrons in electrical devices and circuits. In a few years, most commonly used objects will be electronic. When did we go from steam engines to this witchcraft? Why are you surprised about electronics? Isn't this like 1920s? You have electronics around you. Are you sure you can't walk? I told you, I have fasciitis in the sole of my foot. I can't do it without support. The pain is unbearable. Promise you'll pay the ticket to the driver? Of course, I'm an honest person. You hear that? Fire it up and let's be done. You expect me to trust someone who got on without a ticket? This company has a strict policy. No ticket, no ride. How about we pay for it? Would you do that for me? It won't be enough. I've been stuck here for over an hour because of this woman, and several passengers haven't been able to make their journey. Are you covering that loss too? You're very stubborn, aren't you? Just make an effort and walk away. This man is not going to change his mind. It is impossible for me to walk without support. If I could, I would be long gone by now. Okay. So, presumably we need a walking stick for you. No! Check! That's not the way to solve things. It definitely feels like a way to solve things. Why don't you take her? She is your only passenger. This poor woman can't walk, and I can see she's the only passenger. That's because everyone else has gotten off. Because you stopped the engine and refused to continue the ride until I got off. Doesn't her story move you at all? She could be your grandmother. My grandmother would have paid for the ticket. And you? Aren't you moved by the fact that I can lose my job? Half the staff have already been laid off because of the crisis, and I don't want to be the next one. What's that crank in your hand for? None of your business. Hand it over before something bad happens. Hey, Jack. This guy's out of his mind. He'll probably react violently if you take the crank away from him. I wouldn't advise it. And what would you advise? Resolve this diplomatically. Come on, be reasonable. She is the one who needs to be reasonable. Take her away and let me get on with my job. You want something to say, Harvey? Yes. Sir, would we be in this situation if she weren't black? Listen, pal, I am no racist. But she did. But she didn't even have the decency to move to the back where her kind belongs. Okay? So he is, in fact, a racist. Do you want my staff that certifies, my certificate that certifies I'm sane? Okay, so we need a walking stick for the woman. Well, we don't have anything of the sort, so let's get into the shop. What's that smell? It smells like something burning. Incense. What? It smells like incense. What is that? A mixture of plant resin and essential oils used as fragrance. Well, it smells awful. This is the occult section. You're an expert on the subject. Have you read any of these books? I've read some. It's good to know the beliefs of some cults. Although most occult practices are invented or based on ancient texts of dubious authenticity, they are helpful reads, but practically irrelevant to my work. What do you mean? The purpose of a cult is to subdue its members. Surrounding the cult with an aura of esotericism is something that, unfortunately, appeals to many people. If you knew how many cult leaders believe in what they preach, you would be surprised. All this paraphernalia is just a hook for the members, a carrot on a stick. I see. I knew it was true. The earth is hollow. Welcome to the Ishtar Gate. Looking for something in particular? More like someone. We're looking for Philip Moore, the popularizer of strange topics. Well, we are lucky that he is included. But we are lucky that he has included the Ishtar Gate in his store. He just signed copies of his new book, and is now giving a talk on the phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion. You will find him upstairs. Thank you. It is by invitation only, by the way. Oh, understood. I mean, we're cops, can't we just say we're cops? It's an Egyptian sarcophagus. They were used to guard the mummy of a deceased person who had undergone an embalming process. Listen, Harvey, I may look like a tough, ignorant cop, but I've got some culture. I'm sorry I've offended you, Jack. But a moment ago, you didn't even know what incense was, and I thought, well, don't think so hard. This place must seem like paradise to you, right, Harvey? I love being surrounded by books, that's true. It's like when they took you to the fair as a child, right? Oh, I think you're starting to get to know me. Incense? That's right. These are this month's new releases. Let's see. Mind Over the Immaterial World by Dr. Julius von Cloth. The Ishtar Gate and Saturn editions are pleased to present Philip Moore, renowned writer on parapsychology. The event will consist of a book signing for his book Spontaneous Human Combustion, a reality, and a lecture on the subject. The arrow points upstairs. Are you here to see Mr. Moore? Yes? Your invitation, please. If you don't have an invitation, I can't let you in. This is a private event. We are from Arkham PD. I'm Detective Foster, and this is Detective Whitman. We need to speak with Philip Moore. Since the event began, 3 fake cops and a supposed army colonel have shown up. Oh, and that weird guy, who has been posing as the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Boston. Everyone wants to see Mr. Moore. That seems dubious. And I can understand why. But without an invitation, I can't let you in. This guy couldn't possibly be that popular. He is some parapsychology quack giving a talk at an occult bookstore. He is not the bee's knees. Well, let's go to Arkham Museum of the Unusual. Welcome to the Arkham Museum of the Unusual. Enter with an open mind and prepare to transform your preconceived ideas about this reality. An eye patch, cool guy. It's an early work by the famous Arkham painter Richard Upton Pickman. Ah, the author of the Pickman painting. I think he turns into a ghoul. I think that's the twist in this story. It represents our role in the immensity of the cosmic void. If you are interested in his work, there are several of his originals in the adjoining gallery. Okay. Professor Roman. Roman Dvorak. Thanks to him, the museum has priceless pieces, such as Eric Zahn's cello. The music of Eric Zahn is another one of Lovecraft's short stories. It is a pity that he is no longer with us. And I don't know if that's the same first name as the inventor of the Dvorak keyboard. I'm actually not sure if the Dvorak keyboard was invented by a person named Dvorak. Probably not, like QWERTY keyboard is not invented by a QWERTY. It's just named that because of the letters up top. So Dvorak is probably not invented by a Dvorak. You don't need to read all the rules. Simply use common sense. Don't touch anything and behave like adults. Single admission, 75 cents. Monthly pass, $2.15. 2% discount for groups. For the price of one ticket, I go to the movies 3 times. The movies don't offer the same sensations as this museum. He is quite proud of it, clearly. This is the skull of a member of the fearsome Churchill people, natives of Southeast Asia. So far, no one has been able to see them and come out alive. This is the closest you'll get to them without endangering your physical integrity. Oh, I see that the much sought after A Treatise on Primordial Fear has caught your attention. I have received tempting offers from Miskatonic University to make it part of their collection. But what better place than here for this cursed book? Well, if it's cursed, maybe here is a bad place for it. Detectives Foster and Whitman. May we ask a few questions, Mr. Floyd? Raymond Floyd. Yes, of course. I am the director of this museum. Is there a problem, detectives? So, what's the museum about? The Arkham Museum of the Unusual aims to show visitors a reality they are unaware of. We tend to live immersed in a life where superstition has been left behind, and scientific reality is imposed on our day-to-day. We try to show, and above all not forget, not to forget, that there are unusual and strange facts that exist around us. Where is the music coming from? We have installed an innovative music reproduction system based on magnetic media and distributed several speakers along the tour route. What you are hearing is a looped playback of Through the Cosmos by Matthew L. It is an ideal piece to set the mood for the visit, don't you think? Does the name Benjamin Marsh ring a bell? Oh yes, I'll remember him for the rest of my life. We understand that the museum had a problem with him. An unfortunate incident that should never have occurred. What happened? We have a gallery dedicated to the mysterious town of Innsmouth. The most outstanding piece in the collection is a figurine bearing the likeness of the primeval Cthulhu. It comes from the looting that took place in the town after the feds arrived. A unique piece. What is a primeval? There are deities from the depths of the cosmos. Cthulhu is one of them, worshipped by the entire population of Innsmouth. Go on. Marsh stormed in, claiming that the effigy belonged to his people, and shouldn't be displayed in a profane place like this. I explained that the museum had every right to display it, but he wouldn't listen to reason. He made his way to the gallery and smashed the protective glass. I immediately called the police and tried to prevent him from taking it. During the struggle, he stabbed me in the right eye with one of the statue's spikes. Left me blind in that eye. Did you press charges? Are you mad? Benjamin Marsh is a direct descendant of Obed Marsh. Do you know what that means? I don't want any trouble with the Marshes. Even after he blinded you? Oh, detective, that's nothing compared to what could happen to me. Did Marsh take the figure? The police arrived in time to stop him. But when I refused to press charges, they decided to confiscate it as evidence, in case I changed my mind. Harvey? Yes, I see. We have it at the station. We are displaying a replica in its place. It is not ideal, as we only display originals here, but visitors are fascinated by it. Can we see that figure? Of course, but I already mentioned that it is a replica. You can enter the museum if you wish. always under the supervision of our guide. Since the unfortunate incident I told you about, we have instituted a policy of constant surveillance of our visitors. We won't try anything funny. We are police officers, remember? The museum cannot afford to make any exceptions, Detective. I trust you understand. So the original is logged as evidence of a crime. Exactly. Don't you want it back? That would require charging Benjamin Marsh, and the cure would be worse than the disease. Okay. We'll take a look around. Make yourselves at home, detectives. So we're going to go back to the station and steal the evidence. Got it? Let us witness the unusual. Where is that guide? I believe he's coming this way. Welcome to the Arkham Museum of the Unusual. Please, step closer. My name is Horace Chambers, and I will be your guide throughout the tour. If you desire information about any of the pieces on the display, I will be happy to provide it. The tour begins in this room we call the Gallery of the Damned Artist. More acquisitions will be coming soon. You can skip the guide's explanations by pressing the escape key. You don't have much faith in this segment, huh? These three disturbing canvases are by the Boston artist Richard Upton Pickman. His hyper-realistic strokes and inimitable technique have made him the most celebrated painter in the city. There are certain rumors that insinuate that the impact that these paintings exert on the observer is due to a terrifying fact. This hellish creature exists. Pickman kept it in his home and used it as a model. Alright, the short story was called The Pickman's Model, not The Pickman's Painting. You are looking at the work of the promising California artist Clark Ashton Smith, poet, writer, and sculptor of nightmarish figures from lost worlds. This figure is called Inhabitant of the Moon. Some claim that the image of the being came to Smith in his sleep. Did the inhabitants of our satellite reveal their appearance to him through some inconceivable telepathic method? You are looking at the nameless entity. Smith claims to have no memory of sculpting the piece. He simply woke up one morning, and this disturbing sculpture was staring back at him from his workbench. If you would be so kind as to come with me. You are in the Hall of Unusual Characters. Here we find those who have defined science, or who were at the center of events that would test the sanity of ordinary mortals. So that would be Heber West, the Reanimator, presumably Eric Zahn, and the guy from Cold Air, who kept himself alive by living in a sub-zero temperature. Friend of yours? I was part of the raid that arrested him. It was my first assignment after I was posted here. Let's start with this guy. The case of Dr. Munoz. The case of Dr. Munoz is the perfect example to illustrate this role. He contracted a severe illness in his native Barcelona. Years later, he settled in a small room in a New York boarding house. Oh, it is in fact the guy from Cold Air. Cool. He had installed an ammonia-based cooling system that kept his room at a very low temperature in order to control his illness. However, when he saw his body begin to deteriorate with unusual speed due to a failure in the cooling system, Munoz asked the other tenants for help. He asked them for huge quantities of ice, knowing that all the stores would be closed by that hour. When they returned, they found no trace of Munoz, except for a viscous puddle in the middle of the room. The doctor had left a hastily written letter. Munoz had been dead for 18 years. He had kept himself alive thanks to the cold air that preserved his tissues. Eric Zahn? Eric Zahn was a virtuoso German cellist who lived in seclusion in a garret on Rue d'Orsay in Paris. Every night the tenants of the boarding house heard strange and frantic music played compulsively, coming from Zahn's room. One of them befriended the musician and witnessed some terrifying events. According to his account, Zahn was stalked every night by a strange and gigantic creature that only his ghostly music kept at bay. Upon witnessing these events, the man fled the building and reported the incident to the guard. Unfortunately, they did not find Eric Zahn. In fact, they couldn't even find the Rue d'Orsay. Dr. Herbert West, a modern-day Frankenstein, better known as the Butcher of Arkham. Obsessed with defeating death, he created a formula that, when injected into corpses, brought them back to life. However, the reanimation came with horrible consequences. The revived ones tended to have an animalistic behavior with homicidal tendencies. West believed this was because the formula was more effective on corpses that were more recent. He began to indiscriminately desecrate graves in Christchurch Cemetery, which led to his arrest by the authorities. What happened to all those revived corpses? They were put down, but it is believed that those who escaped still roam Arkham. Room of Other Worlds. I mean, overall this is a pretty cool museum. It would be nice to visit once. With the recent discovery of the ninth planet in our solar system, Pluto, we have turned our eyes to the stars. It has made us realize that we are just a speck of dust in the cosmos. We are unaware of the mysteries and dangers that await us in those worlds, just as we do not know that there are other worlds that are not aligned with our plane of existence. Expand your mind and get to know the other realities. A press article published in July 1931 in the Astrophysical Society of America's Journal. Signed by the prestigious astronomer Julius Tillinghast, the text offers a series of arguments claiming that the newly discovered planet Pluto is actually Yugoth. Tillinghast warns of the dangers of this planet and suggests that research on it be halted. He points out that future contact with Pluto could be devastating to the fate of mankind. I'm pretty sure in Lovecraft lore this is true, and the Yith live on Pluto, and I'm not sure about devastating to the fate of mankind, because the Yith already visit us and do weird shit, like steal brains. The Earth is constantly bombarded by meteorites. Here, you can delight in admiring a select collection of fragments from other worlds. It is the closest contact that humankind can have with the immensity of the cosmos. In certain astronomical circles, there is talk of the existence of the dark and mysterious planet Yugoth, located in the far reaches of our solar system. Alright, not Yith, the Migo. Several writings claim that it is inhabited by the Migo, an alien race of fungi that can travel through the cosmos. What you are looking at is a depiction of its surface by French painter Antoine Girard. The planet Pluto, the ninth in our solar system, discovered 3 years ago by astronomer Clyde William Tombaugh. It has few theories and expectations about the existence of extraterrestrial life. If you look down at the display case, you will see that these theories are supported by irrefutable evidence. Which is? This stone was found at the bottom of the Miles Standish State Forest Swamp. It was part of a meteorite that originated on the planet Pluto. Scientists were amazed to find that, despite stellar erosion, There were unnatural carvings visible on the rock. This rock could be part of an artificial structure on Pluto. In other words, the ninth planet of our solar system is, or was, inhabited. This is the first material evidence of extraterrestrial life. Amazed? Randolph Carter. This young man claims to travel to strange worlds without moving from the spot through his dreams. The accounts of his travels to the unknown Kadath, or the dangerous Dial of Lean, are so detailed and realistic that some have dismissed their being mere invention. Carter is scheduled to undergo an exhaustive scientific examination next month by Miskatonic University in order to confirm his claims. Somehow I always imagined Carter to be white. Is he black in the stories? I'm not sure. But yeah, Randolph Carter is the character from the Search for the Unknowable Kadath, and Through the Gate of Silver Key, and I think one other story. And he is in fact a dream traveler, and then later a wizard, and he is also eventually, after getting the Silver Key, travels through the gate and meets Yog-Sothoth, and then possesses his alternate self, an alternate version of him who is like a space alien wizard. What's in there? In 1927, hundreds of witnesses saw an anomaly directly above the Empire State Building in New York. From their statements, it was deduced to be a dimensional breach. There were witnesses who could see through it, a point in the cosmos that did not correspond to our own. What you'll see behind that curtain is a recreation of what happened that day. It was created by Willis O'Brien, who was in charge of the special effects for the hit movie King Kong. But as you can see, the museum has spared no expense. Shall we take a look? Yeah, why not? I'm curious. I wanna see. I can't see shit. It's about to start. Don't be impatient. A Dimensional Gap by Willis O'Brien. An idiot. Well, that was a shit movie. Even by like 1920s standard. What did you think? Magnificent special effects. Let's go to the next room. This room is dedicated to the enigmatic town of Innsmouth. Its characteristic secrecy has not been an obstacle for the Arkham Museum of the Unusual to provide you with all the information about it. The museum would like to thank Zadok Allen for his collaboration in the making of this room. The Devil's Reef. Located a mile and a half from Innsmouth's harbor, it is, or rather was, the place where Captain Obed Marsh hid the strange creatures he brought with him from the South Seas in his caves. Thanks to the eyewitnesses' account, the federal government took action and torpedoed the base of the reef with submarines, putting an end to the bloody alliance between the creatures and the inhabitants of Innsmouth. However, it is said that the network of caves on the islet extends to the abyssal depths, and that those beings are still there. Captain Obed Marsh. In the middle of the last century, Innsmouth was going through a crisis that reduced all its fishing activity and plunged its inhabitants into absolute poverty. On one of his charted voyages to the South Seas, he discovered a small village on one of the islands, where strange amphibious creatures were worshipped, offering gold and abundant fish in exchange for human sacrifices. Marsh brought those creatures with him and hid them on the Devil's Reef, which you can see on the left. The town has flourished again, as in its golden years, and the inhabitants of Innsmouth embrace the claims and beliefs of those beings, and even mix with their blood. Those who opposed this diabolical alliance were purged leaving the town inhabited only by those akin to the creatures and their strange offspring. You may see other portraits of the captain with a more, shall we say, conventional appearance. But this is his true countenance, the result of his close relationship with those creatures of the underworld, at least in the last years of his life. There you have news item from the Arkham Advertiser of February 1928. It recounts the secret investigation that federal government agents carried out at Innsmouth. Raids and arrests were carried out, and numerous houses and factories were blown up. The article also mentions that most of those arrested ended up in prison or concentration camps. Weeks after this news broke, it became known that many of them had escaped from these facilities. The Great Old One Cthulhu. This cosmic entity is secretly worshipped by the vast majority of Innsmouth inhabitants. It is said to lie dreaming in the sunken city of Relia, waiting for the day when it will be freed to reign over the earth once more. You are looking at the replica, by the way. Until recently, we exhibited the original found during the Innsmouth raids. A minor incident deprived us of it. We hope to show it to the public again someday. The inhabitants of Innsmouth profess no orthodox religion. Their god is Cthulhu, whose representation you can see in the central part of the room, and their church is the Esoteric Order of Dagon. This ancient tablet, with its carved emblem, was found among the ruins of the old Masonic Lodge on New Church Green, where the order was installed. The current inhabitants of Innsmouth, descendants of the blasphemous hybridization between species, undergo metamorphosis throughout their lives. It is not so noticeable in the young, but it is in those of advanced age. Once they reach middle age, and their appearance resembles that of the creatures found by Obed Marsh, they feel the call of the sea. And there they begin a new and immortal life, dedicated to the worship of their god, the great primeval god Cthulhu. That room exclusively houses the infamous painting The Faces of Madness by Francis Hurld. Why isn't it in the first room with the others? The museum had to relocate the piece because what? Let's go inside and I'll explain. It's a fascinating story. Come with me. Oh god, there is more. I'll stop doing the voice, it's too hard. Francis Hurld was a promising German painter whose interest in the dark arts became an obsession. Concerned about the young man's mental health, his family committed him to an asylum where he spent the rest of his life. It is known from his writings that he continued his studies in arcane magic there. The painting behind his curtain, The Faces of Madness, is the result of merging that magic with his art. Why Hurld did this is unknown. What is known for certain is that viewing this painting can affect the observer. In what way? Paranoia, depression, anger. Each person reacts differently when exposed to the painting. We were convinced that the stories about this work were mere exaggerations, but when we showed it to the public, we realized that everything that was said was true. I'm intrigued. Can we see it? Management has decided not to exhibit it until further notice. We've had some problems with some visitors. We're not just visitors. Pull back the curtain and let's see it. We won't tell anyone. I am not authorized to do this, sir. I don't even have the piece to activate the mechanism that moves the curtain, so we need a crank from the bus. Bummer. I was curious about this story. The mechanism is missing a piece. The Faces of Madness, Francis Hurld, 1876. So the painting affects each viewer differently. I can assure you of that personally, sir. In my case, I would say that the effect it has on me is similar to hypnosis. It's as if the painting were calling to me and wouldn't let me look away. It's hard to explain. Okay, I think we are done here. And I would say we are done with today's episode. Next time we are going to go back to the police station to try and get the real Cthulhu figurine, which we are probably going to give back to Marsh. Leaving already. Come back anytime. But in any case, thank you for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.